Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TraderMerlin Show. It is your Tuesday afternoon edition. Today, we're going to talk about market stupidity and just stupid traders and market idiocracy in general. We're going to talk about HKD. I saw some of you going, what is HKD? Well, we all know what WTF means. What the fudge? I will be politically correct here today. But it's one of those exasperation type of statements where you just go, this is ridiculous. How does this even make sense? And the ticker symbol would be HKD. And I will bring this up for you. I'm not going to jump in this right away, but there is the statement and there is the chart of it. If you notice on the left-hand side of your screen, it was down around $10 about 12 days ago, and it recently hit $2,500 per share. And if you understand it, it is so ridiculously stupid. This is the greater fool theory. This makes crypto look like child's play, and I will spend a lot of time today going over exactly what that is. But before I do that, I do want to go into, let me just do the top 7 markets real quick, then I'll do the HKD thing, and then we can go into kind of open mind, whatever you guys would like to talk about with regards to trading. I have a couple questions I want to get to. So let me go to your economic calendar. Here is what we had for today. On the earnings front, AMD, I didn't get their numbers yet, but you can see BP, you had PayPal, Caterpillar, Gilead Scientific, Starbucks, and many more reporting earnings. Everybody on this list beat today, so you would think that would be a nice little pop to the upside and get their markets rolling. Well, markets really didn't do too much today. They were rather choppy. I mean, there wasn't the big range. We did start selling off a little bit, nothing overly dramatic, but some sell-off the second half of the session. And all in all, markets kind of held their own today. So let me run through these economic announcements, and then I will dive into that. Now, the other part here was, we mentioned the Australian dollar reporting a rate announcement last night, and you can see here the reaction to that. They were expecting a raise in their Fed funds rate from 1.35 to 1.85, and then you can see we have it right here, that nice reaction too. As soon as that announcement came out, sharp decline, and it really has been drifting down ever since on the Australian dollar. There it is. You can see this is late in the evening last night when it came out, and just crushed it from there. So I didn't get a chance to read through the press statement, but as we always mention, rate announcements can cause tremendous volatility in the marketplace, so just be careful. Okay, so I'm going to do the top 7 here just to run through, because I know some people, sometimes I get heat because I don't do the 7 markets. Other people don't like it, so I don't know. I'm trapped. I'm stuck. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up. Here's your Dow Futures. This is on a daily time frame right here. You can see perfectly respecting, came right in that overhead supply zone that we had mapped out there on the Dow Futures. Sold off nicely from there to the tune of about 1.11%. If you're asking for a target on this, it looks to me like you could come back and challenge that last area of demand, which was 31,882, right in that range. So right somewhere in that range. So to me, awesome. Love that it's reacting to these overhead supply levels. S&P 500. Doing the same thing, the reaction just isn't as strong. I'm curious to see how this week pans out. But today you had down 0.62% for the S&P futures, closing at 4,095 and just coming out of that overhead supply zone that you can see I mapped out here. Now we shift away from the indexes and go to commodities. Here's your gold chart. I got way too many lines drawn on this, and I think it was kind of interesting because you guys might remember, I love doing this type of stuff, but you guys remember when we were here, we broke down, we drew those trend lines. And the reason we had 2 different trend lines on this one is I said I draw mine from the red because it feels like that's really where things actually turned and more points of contact. And then I forgot who the individual was, but one of the viewers says, well, what if we draw it through all the tips? And you notice we really get 2 parallel lines. And we were making the comment that, once we break down below this area of consolidation, you're going to go and test some demand zones, maybe go further down. We have this demand zone down around 1673. And then said, if it bounces, it's most likely going to come back up and test this overhead supply zone, which starts at about 1805. And also, it may challenge these downtrend lines. And notice today what happened. We came right up to that overhead supply zone. Right around 18. The high for today for gold anyway is 1805, which is the very bottom of that was demand, now is supply zone. or consolidation range, really, but brought up to 1805 and then sold off pretty much the remainder of the session, and it was right into that upward trend line on the blue line. So we'll give the victory to the blue trend line at this point. But all in all, a great representation of why we use trend lines and why we look at overhead supply and demand zones, or just supply and demand zones, period. So I love that one. Perfect. Next on our list here, oh, by the way, that was down 0.58%. Silver was much worse. Silver was down over 2% today. Here's 2.02%. But pretty much following lockstep with what gold was doing. Now, here's your NASDAQ 100, which it broke above that overhead supply zone, which didn't really do me any numbers. 315 was that stop loss point for me, so I'm just kind of waiting to reevaluate my entries on here. I had a short little day trade on the NQ today, short, and it just basically stopped me out. I had a really tight intraday day trade on it, but I was playing it off the dollar index, which I was expecting to bounce, which it did as well. Now, if we look at the crude oil here, crude oil stuck right at that level. Now, you saw, though, how aggressively it fell on the Friday session, just came and stuck right around this 93.60 mark. Well, we're at 93.74 right now, and it just does not feel like crude oil is going to get back on track here. It feels like it's just not getting legs underneath it, not finding some buyers here. Obviously, it's supported at 93.64, but if we don't start making some new highs soon, this demand zone, or this area that it's been bouncing on, is going to break, and ultimately we'll have to evaluate where those demand zones are much lower. But for anybody who's long crude oil right now, this is kind of a pretty tough moment for you, because it looks like it's going to drop further to the south side. What do I have? Bitcoin. Not a lot of really important change on the day with regard to the futures. You can see here just a small little spinning top. It was up 0.13%, which is a rounding error for Bitcoin, 23,060. And finally, the Russell 2000. I don't know why this was up here. I think it has to do with the after hours. But Russell 2000, right now it's down 0.01%, but it's just a spinning top formation, right? It's open and close roughly the same. Topping tail, bottoming tail really represents indecision. Hopefully we'll get some breakout one way or another this week on the Russell. My thinking was at the tail end of last week that I do believe we're going to see a little bit of a correction here, because so many people have been very overtly bullish now on the markets, and I believe markets tend to go the opposite direction. Plus, you look at things like the S&P, we're hitting supply, the Dow, we're hitting supply. You could make the argument that the NASDAQ hit supply and is still in the upper range of it, but I personally think it's outside the upper supply zone. Anyway, that is your top 7, and the last piece here is that dollar index, which on Friday's session we talked about it coming down towards this area of demand, right? We had this last rally base and then a rally out of it. It really broke out aggressively on July 5th, and we came back into it on last night's session and bounced off it to the T. The number I have there was 105.13, and the low for today was 105.05. So we nailed that thing, and as the dollar started to rip up, I was going short on the NASDAQ 100, and I got a small little loss on that one, but kind of surprised that was the way it worked out. Anyway, there you go. I got through my stuff for the top 7, and now we can talk about the fun time. Would you take part in that? I'm not sure, Randall. Let me go back up here and see what I might need to take part in. How Merlin, speaking of what? Hey, good to see you, Linda. Papa Dot, Timmy Sykes type of strategy. Well, let's talk about HKD. Let's just clear this one out, get this garbage out of the way, and go from there. In my trading career, which has spanned 20 plus years now, God, it's crazy to even say that, you notice that there's a lot of things that happen. The markets are always changing, they're always evolving, and there might be some new technology comes out that creates a hysteria. There might be a new company that comes out that creates a lot of hysteria. Back in 1999, there was a company that they did not a commercial, but I remember CNBC had an interview, and they were saying, hey, this company, they're creating something called IT. And everyone's like, what is it? And they just built this excitement around it. What is it, right? Everyone in the trading focus, what the hell is it? They keep talking about it. You know, it was a great ploy for marketing. And they said, it will change the way transportation is done in the world. Once these come out, you'll never travel the same ever again. It's revolutionary. And I'm like, flying car, flying bicycle, teleportation device. You know, what is it? It ended up being the Segway, which, come on, does anybody really use the Segway? You feel it's one of those things you feel kind of stupid when you're riding them, but hey, it's a cool idea, you know, a little gyro balancer bike to ride around on, cool. Anyway, long-winded story. It's about creating hype around something. Now, I'm not exactly sure why the hype is there for this company, but it's called AMT Digital. And they are out of Singapore, and apparently they are a company that has gone absolutely gangbusters. So here's the chart of it. You can see the IPO in the U.S. happened on the 15th of July. And it IPO'd, its initial price, it looks like it opened at $13 even. And you can see this blue line that I drew all the way up to the peak today. It reached a peak intraday today of $25,555. So in 12 days, your $10 investment or $13 investment would have reached $2,500, right? Should have, could have, would have, right? I'm pretty sure that most people did not buy into this, not buy the garbage, but right now this is one of the most talked about securities in the gambler space. But I try to shy away from the gambler space because most gamblers end up losing money. So what the hell is it? Well, first off, it's simply an investment banking firm. Really, that's what they position themselves at, is they're an investment banking company that's going to be funding all sorts of different companies, giving them loans. Now, the talk track is that they're going to be the metaverse. This is absolute garbage talk track rhetoric that is trash. Now, I can show you their site. Let me see if I had their site up earlier. It was so pathetic. I really thought it was one of the dumbest looking websites out there. Oh, maybe I don't have it up. I guess I took that and moved it on from there. Anyway, their website has almost nothing on it about the company. It's very vague. It'd be like grandiose pictures of mountains and say, together we can build the best strategies in the world, blah, blah, blah. I've seen this garbage over and over and over and over before. So why did it move so much? It can't be total trash because it went from $13 to $2,555. Well, let me just ask you guys a question. We have tens of thousands of different companies in the world. I mean, we're talking Microsoft, Walmart, Apple, Google, Intel, Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, JP Morgan. I mean, these are staple names. Out of every one of those I just mentioned, and I'll read them again. Apple, Facebook, Google, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Ford, Nvidia, Intel, Alcatel, AT&T. All of you know those names. There's not one name that I just rambled off real quick that you went, what the hell's that? Who's that? Yet I can mention HKD, and everyone's like, what is that? WTF. The problem with this one is how big it got today. And unfortunately, you could not short it, because I could see everybody... Airsoft Marine Sniper says, can we short it? No, you can't. You wouldn't be able to get the shares. Technically, IPOs, you're not allowed to short, I believe, for the first 30 days anyway, and you can't find the shares. And there was no options market, so there's really no way to capitalize on it, because if it was me, I would have bought as many puts as humanly possible today on HKD. So, let me ask you this question. And you just type in a number. Out of I believe there's something like 13,000 different stocks traded on all the exchanges in the U.S., give or take a couple thousand, right? 13,000. Out of the 13,000, number one being Apple at $2.5 trillion market cap. How high do you think that this company made it today in the United States? Mind you, 13,000 plus different companies. Apple being number one at $2.5 trillion market cap. With regards to market capitalization, how high on that list did WKD or HKD make it today? Just type in a number. Let me know what you think. And remember, there's some monstrous names out here. What I'm going to show you in a second is going to have a lot of you guys going, what on earth is going on here? And let me see if I can make this screen bigger here. So when I do finally get some results, I'm waiting for you guys to type in what you think. You know, did it make it up to number 2,000? Mind you, this IPO'd, and they IPO'd 12 days ago, and their IPO price, I have the numbers here. They raised $125 million in their IPO. $125 million with an M, right? Chump change in the financial markets. Robert, number one. It didn't go that high. You guys are being really generous here. Wow, you think at some point it beat Apple's market cap? That would have made headlines, absolutely. It actually made it to number 10. Here, I'll bring up the list for you. Here you can see the list of market cap companies in the United States. And its intraday market cap today for HKD was $466 billion. And you notice over here, $466 billion makes it bigger than Meta, right? Bigger than Facebook, Johnson & Johnson, bigger than Nvidia, Visa, Mobil. Right, ExxonMobil makes it bigger than Walmart. It makes it bigger than JP Morgan, which is one of the biggest financial service and investment banking firms on earth. Yet this company that has no history, no track record whatsoever, is getting pumped all the way up that high. That should be mind-boggling to people here. Like, as soon as I saw this, I was like, I got to short this one. But you can't, right? If it was something that had been around for a while, you might have the opportunity, but you can't short it. If you can't borrow the shares. Now, I'm sure there is illegal short selling going on by some of the big firms, because honestly, shorting this thing at $2,500 is almost a guaranteed winning trade. Guaranteed. Personally, I don't see it. It's not on the list now. Let's see. Right now, I have to do the market cap because it dropped. That was based off of $2,550 of market cap. So here is what the market capitalization would be real quickly. Let's just look at HKD market, the price right now. So it's $16.79. So I'll go over here, and there's 185 million shares. Right, that's how many shares there are. Times that by the current price, which is $16.79, and it now has a market capitalization of $310 billion. So it literally lost $150 billion intraday of market cap. That should be equally confounding here. Let me go back to my FinViz. Where did I have the FinViz here? The stock screener. And we should be able to see it on the next page. Now, I'm not sure if this is updating it to... No, it's not showing it on here. And I don't know whether they're just not putting it on the list, but it's over $300 billion market cap based off of 185 million shares. So there you go. So somebody making a big killing. Now, why did this happen? Right? Why did this happen? Well, number one, in my opinion, is it has to do with very clever strategic marketing of a product. So you do an IPO. And what you do is you don't circulate a lot of those shares. You keep those shares in the hands of investors. You keep those shares outside of the market. Now, if shares aren't readily available for people to buy, a small amount of transactions can have a big increase in price. Now, what a lot of people do, and I'm raising my hand here because I was stupid and did this as well, but back in the day, I would look at the biggest gainers, biggest decliners, and I would trade off of that. You'd see something that was up 100% on the day, and you're like, dude, I got to buy that. It's going to go up more, right? My mentality's changed there to I should short it, but a lot of people just go for what's running and jump on that. So as Chase says, a low float. Correct. You have very few shares available to the public, which means when you have the public in a hysteria, which is, let me show you this chart here and see how hysteria is created. Let's go back to here. So this is going back to a few days ago, and from July 21st to July 22nd, this stock jumped 234%, which means it's making the number one on all the stock filters. Right? Every gainer of the day filter is going to have this as number one. So people are now attracted to it. Then you look a couple days later. This doesn't look like much. That's up another 28% in that day. This day right here was up another 36%. So all of a sudden, people see this and they start buying it just to get on that gravy train. The next day, so funny. It looks just totally distorted. The next day, it moved up. Oh, come on, Merlin. 134%. The next day, even more. I mean, you get the picture here. It's just showing up at 122% the next day. 100 and what percent the next day? 85% the next day. And then today, you have it right now as of the close up. What are we up? 126% on the day. So it draws people in because they feel like they're missing the boat and got to get into it. This is the greater fool theory, and it's precipitated by a lot of media. But the fact that there's such a low float, meaning out of those 185 million shares, there's not a lot available that you can buy. So where are you going to buy it? Well, a small buy order is going to cause a huge move up in price, especially if those people that are holding shares because of a lockup period are not able to sell it. Well, this is not Ameritrade. This is Studio. This is what we've been talking about. Or SupDip. That's what we've been talking about, dude. Have you not looked at the charts? HKD is AMTD. And so I want to go here and look at the financials for it. So we can go here to statistics. And right now, $310 billion market cap. And if I click on statistics, we'll scroll down here just a little bit, you can see shares outstanding, 185 million. Now, that's not really a high number or low number, but what's interesting is, notice float. Okay, float is the amount of shares that are available for people to buy. Notice that's roughly 10%. So only 10% of these shares that are total are available for you and I to buy and sell. So now you guys can see why it has created such huge moves. Because if you don't have shares available for people to buy and they try to buy it, it's going to create a massive move up. Now, this would not happen if all 185 million shares you see here were available to buy and sell. Right now, they're locked up. That might be because of holding requirements. That might be because of IPO requirements or different restrictions, but very, very, very different allocations here. Now, I'm going to show you one just as a point of reference. Let's pick a different company, but you can see outstanding shares, 185 million and only 19 million float. So it's 10%. Now let's look at a big company. It doesn't have to be big. I'm trying to think of something that might be small. How about Rivian, right? This is a gamble on my part because Rivian has got some weird numbers as well, but they shouldn't be that much of a discrepancy. So notice that they have outstanding shares of 883 million and 496 million are available for float. Most of these are probably locked up, right? But it's over half are available to the public. When you get something like 10%, man, you're going to have huge moves. How about Apple, right? Just to look at the bellwether here, there are 16.07 billion shares of Apple total and 16.05 billion shares floated, meaning they're all out there. Pretty much, there's only 200 million or 20 million shares that are not available to buy for Microsoft or Apple at this moment. Now, as a trader, you've got to look at this HKD and just laugh at it and walk away from it. Leave it alone. This thing, my gut tells me that the peak is in. I don't think you're going to see this go up any higher than this, and it's probably going to go all the way back down, come screaming back down, sub $100 here very soon. The reason being, they are making money from the stuff I looked at. They're making money. But they're, the 10th largest, we're the 10th largest company in the United States, and they're making nowhere near the money that Apple or Amazon or any of these big bellwethers are doing. Essentially, you're looking at a fintech startup, and I think what caught most people is that, they're going to create the metaverse. I don't know where that came from. To me, that was just some publicity stunt that was thrown out there. They're not. They're a institutional banking company that's going to start to support fintech. But they're primarily in China as well, right? So could a lot of the fintech stuff come out of China? Absolutely. Will they create themselves the metaverse? Absolutely not. I mean, it's going to be the result of many people working together, and there's a lot of people that already have the big head start. Mike Hurst, what up with short shares? So technically, there's IPO rules, and that may have changed since my in-depth understanding of the IPO rules. But it used to be that you couldn't short for the first 30 days. It was 30 or 90. It's been so long. Let's see. See here it says shares short. There are no shares short. It's not available. So technically you can't sell shares short of this. I'm sure that some institutions have created derivatives, right, and created a synthetic short position that they can now go short. Because if I'm JP Morgan, one of the largest investment banking companies in the world, I'm looking at this company and I'm laughing going, this is a joke. They're bigger market cap than us and they have like 50 employees. Crap. Short this thing. It might go to 3,000, but it's going to go to zero and we'll ride that out. Why is price dropping if no one can short? Because people are trying to sell their shares and lock in profit. It's the greater fool theory. Right now, there's really nobody left to buy it because if not to sound arrogant, but this is going to sound arrogant. As a trader and investor who's done this for so long, I'm going to look at a chart like this and go, there's no way in hell I'm going to buy this. Why would I ever want to put a bid out there to buy this? I'm not going to touch it. And when more people realize that, they all back away and you've got nobody left to buy or very few people that are willing to buy this thing anymore. It's all going to be Reddit, Wall Street bets, and Robinhood traders that have no freaking clue what they're doing. They're going to be out there trying to buy it. So now they're pretty much trading amongst themselves because I can assure you, I can guarantee you, the JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs don't own a share of this or did not buy any of this on the way up. If anything, they're selling because they know that this thing has just an ungodly market cap. It's just ridiculous for it to be at these prices. But this is the nature of financial markets. People love this stuff. Look at the PE ratio. PE ratio off of today's price, the closing price, which is already down $800 off its peak, is $2,300. Now, remember, a high PE generally is indicative of the expectation of future growth. But unless this thing becomes bigger than Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and companies like that, I just do not see it happening. How long does it normally take to start an option chain on? You mean what's IPOS? Is that a specific stock, or is that an acronym for something? You sound like my kids. Well, I try to stay youthful through my talk track. Someone at Webull could not sell their HKD. And you know the reason for that is there may be, and it's good. I'm glad you brought that up, Alan. On some platforms, if the spread gets too wide or if a client's order might suffer too much slippage, they may actually not allow that trade to go through. So let's go look at HKD. Unfortunately, you're not going to get a bid and ask right now. But here's your bid and your ask. It's hard for you guys to see, but you guys know the bid is the best price you can sell it at right now. That's $14.09. The ask price, which is the best price you can buy it at, is $2,000. That is a $591 spread on this thing. So what happens is they're going to probably prevent orders from being sent out, because if you do, it shows here that the current price is $1,670, right? $1,670. But the best price that you could possibly sell it at right now is $1,409. That may be too much of a difference for some institutions to allow their customers because of slippage, because a customer that puts an order thinking, oh, I can sell right now at $1,670, and they get filled at $1,409, is probably going to raise hell and potentially sue. So I think there may be a safety mechanism on some of these platforms to say, that's too much slippage, we can't sell it for you. That's my belief on what's going on if an institution is not letting you sell it. How long does it take to start on HKD? After that, there you go. I can't remember. I believe it was 30 days, but part of me thinks it's 90. I think what it is you can't short any IPO for 30 days. And then there's also a 90-day lockup where insiders can't sell their shares. So, here's the real telling point. And again, it really depends on how this thing is structured. But let me just look out 90 days here. I'm going to just move this line over here and go out 90 days. And there's a method to my madness, so bear with me. 90 days should be right coming up here. I'm drawing on the screen for a reason, and that is that when we go out 90 days on this, that's when insiders may be able to sell their positions. Normally, there's a 90-day lockup period for any insider with their shares, and that would lead us to this day right here, which would be roughly November 21st. As of November 21st, a majority of the shares will probably become unlocked out of those 185 million, and you will see this thing crater, absolutely crater. I'll leave this line here so we can see it. My guess is it'll be sub 100 by the time it even gets to this blue line, right? And I'll make all these notes here on this one. Great question from Joe. He says, no lock limit up. How convenient. Yeah, it's kind of weird because they did halt it. Let me see if I can show you the halt here. Oh, man, I can't. I know that I was reading that it was halted a couple times, but then it just opened back up and continued to just rip to the upside. This is just, if you guys saw what I posted on Twitter, I actually had fun with that one. I said, tell me you're an idiot or tell me you're stupid without telling me you're stupid. And basically, I just put a picture of this daily chart here for HKD. Because anybody who's buying this right now, you're an idiot. Don't do it. This thing's going to come crashing down. It might have another leg run because of the hysteria that's going on. But again, we saw this with different things. Did we not see the same thing with GME? The difference with GameStop was a short squeeze, right? You had over 100% of the shares were short, and that's going to happen. So that led to a short squeeze, which led to a gamma squeeze, and then all of a sudden you have, huge spike up. But GameStop trading $120, I was saying short it. I've done nothing but short GameStop ever since, and it's been very profitable for me. Similar thing with AMC, right? You see that big spike up that happened back in 2021 where it went from $2 up to, oh no, this isn't it. I'm sorry. It wasn't 21, it was 2020. Where the heck was that? There it is. It went from $12 up to 75 and change, right? And that was a short squeeze as well. This is not a short squeeze on HKD. This is just a pump. It's a pump with low liquidity. There's no shares available, and people trying to buy it because they keep hearing it's moving up every single day. So we might see another run up here, but I doubt it. I think this thing's going to come crashing back down. Sub 100. Let's see, what is today? I would put a wager out that this thing will be sub 100 by the end of the month. I know that sounds crazy because here we are at 1,600. You're like, man, that'd be a huge fall. I believe it. I'll write all those ones down. I'm making notes to myself. Sub 100. By, what is it, August was SEP 1. All right, there we go. I'll write that on the chart there. So no lock limit, yeah. With an index, the exchange can freeze everything. With specific securities, there's no individual circuit breaker. They can run and run and run as much as they want. Generally, what will happen, though, is the exchanges will halt them and say, hold up a sec, we'll freeze. Now, this one, HKD, is on the New York Stock Exchange, which is arguably much more lenient with regards to trading halts. NASDAQ, if this was listed on the NASDAQ, they'd have been very quick to halt it. I think once the thing jumped, 100% in a day, they'd be like, well, hold up. Something's wrong here. New York Stock Exchange is kind of this old school, antiquated, good old boy network where it's like, hey, we got something move 100%. Some excitement on the floor. Yay, Bob. Anyway, I don't have a lot of positive things to say about NYSE, just from some of the things I've learned over the years about that exchange. But this is listed on NYSE, and therefore I think that may be the reason it's not halted as much as some of the other ones. So there we go. What up, short sellers? Why is price dropping if no one can short? Because people are just selling it, right? Trying to lock in some profit. And because you have such huge price levels on the level 2, meaning just each level, it could drop, $20, $30, $50, $100 in a clip just for one share because of the illiquidity of that marketplace. So this is something, guys, you're going to see it a lot in your trading career. Maybe not to this extent. This is one of the more incredible ones you're going to see. But I've seen this with crypto. I've seen this with other asset classes as well. And when something goes parabolic like this, and if you're already in it, great, enjoy it, but don't chase these things and buy them, because what ultimately happens is you'll end up buying this thing at 1,600 because some clown told you this was going to be the metaverse king and dominate the metaverse. By the way, I had to share this one. I think this is from Daniel. Thank you, Daniel, for this one. You made me laugh here, so I'll just leave this here. This should be the clown of the day, the chief strategist of the Blank Institute. We left that one out there. I didn't leave it out there, but thank you, Daniel. That actually made me laugh out loud. You get clowns like this that promote different securities and different markets, and you got to do your own research. It was halted 20 times today. Oh cow, I didn't know that. It should have been. I mean, look at the intraday chart here. Let's see if I can spot the intraday. I'll do a 5-minute, because you can usually spot. It's weird. You say it's halted, but I don't see the halts. Normally, your halt will be indicated by dashed lines. So there's the 5-minute. Here's your 1 minute. I don't see a lot of pausing in here. Okay. Well, I mean, look, if something hit a low intraday at $600 and peaked out at over $2,500, you should halt it. Something's clearly wrong with this bad boy. But do yourselves a favor, stay away from it. It's fun to watch. We can laugh and say maybe that would be a popcorn trade of the day, but unfortunately, we just know it's a popcorn trade of the day after the fact. But hey, let's use the wonderful graphics that Tim created for me and call it the popcorn trade of the day. Okay, that was it. We did 34 minutes on that topic. I have other things to talk about unless you have something specific that you would like me to go over. Again, I know we have some new people here. If you are new, you can always hit that subscribe button or click the little bell. That'll alert you as soon as I go live, which I do generally about 2 or 3 minutes before 2 p.m. Pacific time every single day, Monday through Friday. So let's, I thought I'd give Lisa props. Lisa says, can you talk about AMTD Digital? I've never seen anything like it. Just covered that one for you, Lisa, so thank you. You kind of helped spur I was going to try to avoid this conversation simply because I didn't want... One second, let me block this guy. Hold on. Got to get those spammers out of there. There we go. Bye, spammer. I kind of avoid these questions sometimes just because I don't want to draw people's attention to securities like this because I'm worried that you're going to jump on it, but you guys are smarter than that. What else do I got? Leonid. Good to see you, Leonid. Can you give me your opinion of Ford stock on a daily chart? Long on the pullback to 1310 with a stop at 1235. No specific target, but I'll use a trailing stop instead. Okay. Looks like a downtrend. The downtrend for Ford is over, and it's time to go long as the SPY keeps moving higher. Okay, let me real quickly just look at this one because Ford has been on a great move here. And you said you're long on that pullback to 1310. Oh, you're going to look. Okay, it's a trade setup. Got it. So what you're looking at is, let's move here and say if it drops all the way back down to 1310 as your entry with a stop loss, I'll move these lines around here. Stop loss at 1235. Right there. Close enough. What about that as a potential trade setup? I'm all right with that. Let me go real quick. I just want to see what the average true range is. Of course, I don't have ATR on this platform, so let's see if I can add ATR, because in the grand scheme of things, I need to know how much this beast moves, right? What's the average true range? So let me add that on the chart here, and you can see right now that as you're rocketing up, it has an ATR about 55 cents. So your stop right here, based off this number, is roughly 80, right? So you're already outside the range of ATR. So I like the thickness of that range, you know. Certainly I would wait and see what happens when Ford gets back down here. My feeling is that the markets are going to roll over, that we've come into supply and now we're going to challenge these lows again. So I'd be careful there. The good news is you got a stop loss on your Ford and you'll stick to it, I hope. But with regards to Ford, you're right. The downtrend is broken. And in my opinion, and I think any other technicians, because we've broken multiple recent lower highs, and that is a good indication that obviously the trend is turning around. The only real nervous part I have is how fast this has moved. It's moved an incredible amount of distance in a short period of time. I mean, Ford is a slow-moving stock. It's gone from $12.50 to $15 in 3 days. That's nuts for Ford. That is a huge move. So I would agree. I think you're going to have a pullback here. Obviously, the earnings vaulted it. You do have a dividend announcement happening on August 11th, which might be something to pay attention to. But if you're waiting for the pullback, great. I like the trade. I do. My thinking, though, is you should always already have a plan in place, like where it might have difficulty. So if you're buying at 13.11, you've got a target at least at 15.22, which would be $2 profit target. You're risking 70 cents roughly, so you got 3-1. Even if it hits that first target, great. And then you can see there's a whole bunch of other potential turning points higher up. But all in all, yeah, fine. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Ford, but we're not trading Ford, are we? We're just trading price. So looks good to me. Let's see, what else do I have here? Now, again, if you guys have questions, you can feel free to just send them on in to me anytime. You can email me at TraderMerlin at gmail.com, or you can put them down below any YouTube video, and I will get to those. Let's see. Let's look at Carvana for you, huh? I'm sweating up here, guys. It's hot. What do I think of Carvana? Looks dead in the water. This looks flatline, right? If someone's EKG looked like this, they'd be pronounced dead. So it looks like trash. However, that doesn't mean it's not going to rise from the ashes. I think that at the moment we're at right now is critical. Now, again, let me start way out here. Here is your daily going all the way back to, 2018. And what's interesting for me is this most recent sell-off, this aggressive crash that we've had here, comes right into this low, actually pretty much bottomed out at the low from 2020. And here's Carvana right back at those lows. So if it's going to bounce, this is the spot that it's going to do that, right? If you are following the line right there, really, if it closes above, let's say 34, if we get maybe go 34 and 10 cents just to get a little bit higher than that, you get a close above that, it might be worth it to take a stab at it, expecting this to retrace some of these losses. I mean, it's down tremendously. Let me put it on a weekly here so I can show you the percentage. But this is one of the more savage declines you're going to see. I mean, I don't even think that some of my cryptos have fallen this much. To where we are right now, Carvana down 90%. Is Carvana going to go away? I don't think so, but I don't know. I don't know their fundamentals, but all in all, looks fairly decent to me as a potential. It is risky because you're buying something that, things don't sell off like this for no reason. Things don't drop 90% because remember, there's institutional involvement. So it might be, if you have time, NJ, I would say it might be interesting to go out and look at what's going on with institutional ownership of this. Are we seeing accumulation? Are we seeing unwinding of Carvana? But all in all, this sideways consolidation for the past 10 weeks or so, it looks dead, but it also means it's no longer selling off. So it's, in my opinion, it's actually starting to look better and better as a potential long play here. So take that for what it's worth. Chin says, Jivo, huh? What exchange did I just pull this from? That didn't even look like a U.S. one. Hold on one second. Make sure I get U.S. Yeah, I got it off of someone. So I don't know Jivo. Technically, same thing. Not quite as bad as you saw there with Carvana, but it's just lower lows, lower highs, trending just down, looking awful. Now, the only saving grace is we've just started to make some higher highs here on Jivo. Again, I don't know what they do. Don't particularly care. The price charts are telling me that it's found a bottom. It feels like it's bottomed here because it's making higher lows and starting to make higher highs. So this may be the beginning of an uptrend here. You do have a small little area right around 316, but I'll be honest, I don't trade penny stocks. So this would not even make my radar. Anything under 15 bucks, I generally leave alone. You got to ask yourself, if this is one of the biggest bull market rallies of all time, why is price still $3? Because it's probably not the greatest company out there and it's out of favor. So there we go. All right, what else do I have? Vroom, also same as Carvana, dead, but they keep sending us work. I look at Carvana. I like the business model. I haven't gone into to the centers with the big towers, all the cars, and you can go like a gumball machine and choose your car. But there we go. What is China doing about Pelosi? Who cares? Nothing I can do about it, right? Obviously, it's a bunch of saber rattling. You can have your positive opinion on it, negative opinion on it. It is what it is. To me, it's a political move just to see maybe what China does, but who knows? It's just crazy. It's so interesting. Like the world is all talking about the fact she's going to. Oh, Nicola, ciao, amico. And my friend from Italy right there. What are you doing up so late, my friend? It's like 10 p.m. over there. Late 8, actually later than that. How about Bitcoin miners Mara? Okay, not a fan. Primarily because of what happening with the Ethereum transition. So let's look at things like Mara. If you look at those price charts, they have also been just bludgeoned. And we had this line drawn right here at 1121, which was basically saying if it gets above that, then we might see a potential reversal here on Marathon Digital. I think that part of me is not very optimistic because Ethereum, a lot of these say that they're mining just Bitcoin. Some are mining Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if your company is mining Ethereum, they've got big problems because Ethereum obviously is moving away from proof of work, which eliminates miners and goes to proof of stake, which makes their mining equipment essentially useless. So not a huge fan of them. I would dig deeper if I was looking at buying into this space, which I am not. I would look in that space and find out which one of them is exposed to Ethereum mining, and I would move away from those. Personally, I don't know. But you have, the whole space looks like this. Here's Riot Blockchain, which I'll just get rid of these green lines you've had here for a while. Riot Blockchain looks like it's about to turn the corner. Right around this $8 mark, it closed above $8, and Riot might be moving back up. Now, keep in mind, this thing was at $4 less than a month ago, so it's already up 100%. But I know a lot of people keep looking at this $24 target, like, oh, is it going to get 24, 23? It could, but very, very risky, and I don't know. It's just a dangerous industry to be in, especially with regulation on energy and Bitcoin miners, etc. Okay. Let me go back to the original questions I have here before I sweat it out here. What time we got? 44. I'll do this last one, and then I have some really good news, which I'll tell you right after I answer this question from Michael. So, Michael, great question. He says, what's the relationship between the Fed funds rate and mortgage rate? The Fed increased by 75 a week ago, yet I read that the 30-year mortgage rates dropped from 5.5 to 5.25. Shouldn't mortgage rates increase as well? Well, they're not directly tied together. So what you get is, remember, the Fed controls the short end. So by raising the Fed funds, the zero rate essentially, that raises the short end of the yield curve. And let me, just for a couple minutes here, and just let me torture you with some artwork. I apologize. I know some of you guys are like, oh my God, not the artwork again. And I think it's going to go right here. Let me add a new slide, make it white for you, and here we go. Okay, so here is what a yield curve looks like, right? And you have all these different maturities in here. Here is one axis, and it goes like that, right? So you've got your 1 month, right? You got your 3 month. You got your, I don't know, call it 1 year. You got your 2 year, your 10 year. I'm just throwing up different maturities. And let's say 30, right? These are different time maturities. And if this is the rate that you, an 8, I think is where my mind is at. If this is the rate that you'd be earning, so that'd be your yield, percent yield, it usually looks like this. Meaning the longer that you commit, the more rate you're going to get. That's basically the yield. So if you look at the short end, the Fed controls this. This area right here, that's the Fed. They're really playing with the short end. Because we've had such inflation numbers, the yield curve has shifted. And I'm going to change the color here so you guys can see. I'll put it in, let's just, I don't know what my drawing tools are. We'll make it, I'll make it blue. So now, let's say this is what the yield curve looked like, I don't know, a year or two ago. Now it looks like this. In blue. Now what's wrong with that? Well, the markets are going to be dependent on, oops, damn it. Oh, are you kidding me? I just took that away. Oh, let's put it here again. The markets are dependent on supply and demand. But since the Fed controls this short end, they're raising the short end, giving you more yield, right? We've gone from 0, and now we're up at 2.5. Well, the problem is, you look at something like the 10-year. Well, the 10-year, you'll actually earn less on the 10-year than you will on the short term. This is an inverted yield curve. So the blue line is inverted, and this is normal. Now, why are you seeing this 30-year fall, right? Why is it doing this right here as opposed to moving up? Shouldn't this arc stay the same? Well, the normal curve that's in red is what should be happening, but it's not, because the expectation for the future, right, 30 years and 10 years, is not really rosy. It's basically forecasting financial instability and economic, problems down the road. So they're not going to give you as much money, as much yield at that point in time. But short term, they are. So just because the Fed is raising rates, it does not mean that these longer term maturities are going to rise. In fact, based off supply and demand, that's what's really going to drive this 10-year up or down. And the 10-year is what the 30-year mortgage is based off of. So let's bring up a chart of the 10-year, just so you guys can see the actual yield on the 10-year. And I'll show you how that impacts your mortgages. All right, so right now you can get 2.74 for a 10-year bond. But the Fed funds futures rate is 2.5. I mean, that's a quarter point difference for investing your money for a year versus instant. It's ridiculous. It doesn't even make sense. That's an inverted yield curve. And right now, it looks like the trend is that we're going to keep on continuing down here. I've got a target of 1.9 for this 10-year just based off the chart that we see presently. Now, if this trend does drop down and continue to drift lower, 30-year rate mortgages will continue to drop. But, why were we seeing mortgage rates go from, under 3% to over 6%? Because of this, right? The 10-year was rising. The 10-year shot up significantly. Therefore, mortgages rise. And now all of a sudden, we've gone from about 3.5% down to 2.7%. You're seeing mortgage rates fall. So there you go. That's the answer to your mortgage rate question, Michael, is it's not about the Fed. The Fed controls the short end, but markets and supply and demand, they control the long end. And right now, you're seeing prices of that 10-year fall. Therefore, you're starting to get mortgages fall as well. CZR, and then I got to wrap it up. Caesars Entertainment. I'm a fan of Caesars. I was actually surprised to see Caesars and MGM and Wynn, not really performing that well. Caesars obviously going back here at $119 back in September of last year, hitting a low point of 35 just a few weeks ago. I mean, that's a pretty significant decline. At some point, we know this will turn around because Caesars, they're Caesars. I mean, come on, go to Caesars. That's where you got to go. Plus, they got a whole bunch of different resorts. So, at some point, you got to ask yourself, what's a good value play for Caesars? Now, they have earnings today, or is that tomorrow? I think they had earnings today. They were up 6.8% today and down 2 after hours. So maybe the earnings hit and they dropped a little bit. But, long term, Linda, I'm going to be bullish on Caesars. It just, is this the time to buy? What's noteworthy for me on the Caesars chart is right here. We just broke above a more recent high. So it looks like it's going to challenge this next level, which can be right around, call it $52. After that, you've got a nice move all the way up to about 70. So it looks like Caesars is rounding the corner. It looks like it's becoming more of a bullish phase. But remember, that's because our overall market right now looks just like that, right? That's S&P. We're still in a downtrend, even though we've had this great move up for the better part of a month in the S&P. Careful, we've come into a pretty significant supply zone. That may push things down lower as everybody's sentiment is now shifted to bullish. So even though you're thinking of going long some of these guys, that they're really good value, just be careful. Make sure you have your stop loss in place. Caesars in Atlantic City is ratchet. NJ, you tell me a casino in Atlantic City that's top shelf, really nice looking. when I was there, I was so disappointed. I hear all this about Atlantic City, and I'm like, this place is a dump. I'd rather go to South Lake Tahoe, man. That was what a weird, and it's weird. You go 2 streets over from the boardwalk, and it's like you get jumped, man. That's a dangerous place to be. Hey Merlin, can you lock those buyings just in case the yields start coming back to normal? Are you talking about with the 30-year fixed rate mortgages? I mean, you can lock a mortgage, but it's only for a small window of time, right? That's, you can lock things, but usually I think it's only a couple of days where you have to fill all that work out. All that paperwork out. Let me get to the end here so I can wrap up and go drink some water because I'm sweating over here. Economic calendar for tomorrow. I'll start with the big stuff. Down near the bottom is really the important stuff. No offense to my European neighbors out here, but we have factory orders, services PMI, as well as ISM PMI numbers, and that's pretty much it. You got crude oil inventories as well. Now, you do have OPEC meetings happening all day tomorrow, and that can always create just wild volatility. If you are trading anything to do with the euro, well, you do have some exciting announcement as well. If you look at the top portion there, the euro, you can see we've got services. You got services for France, Germany, Italy, Spain, as well as the entire EU, Italian retail sales, PPI numbers, and just retail sales for the entire EU. So that could create a lot of waves for the euro, which as of the last couple of months has bottomed. Feels like it's kind of stabilized just a little bit once we broke below parity. Here is the euro chart. You can see we broke below this little blue line, which is parity, rallying up a little bit, but still not out of the woods. I would argue that we're going to come back up to this 1.036 line and then start selling off again from there. Franco Paggi. Ciao e grazie a lei. All right. See, I told you to make it. I need to do a show because sometimes you guys find some really interesting and funny things out about that clown that you speak of. Again, my whole thing would just be making people just aware of the individual and looking beyond the curtain of impression of, hey, I'm so great, and peeling back the curtain and going, wow, federal regulators subpoenaed your trading records and found out that you lose money. Everybody should know that. Anyway. Okay, cool. Oh, I did not see that. MicroStrategy CEO stepping down. I did not see that. You might have seen the tiff between him and Vitalik Buterin. MicroStrategy's, if he steps down, that's an interesting thing for Bitcoin. What are they going to do? If he steps down, then that means MicroStrategy can actually start unloading their Bitcoin, which they might be a little too exposed to Bitcoin, let's be honest. All right, I'll check that one out, NJ. Thanks for posting that. Again, if you guys have comments, questions, feedback, put them down below the YouTube video. That's the easiest way to get them on the show. I have a couple I need to get to still from a couple days ago. You can also email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com. That said, I hope you guys have a fantastic remainder of your day. I will see you tomorrow. By the way, I told you I have an announcement, didn't I? The announcement is Thursday. I've been trying to get him on the program. I thought he was avoiding me. He wasn't. Don Dawson. We'll be talking commodities, which is going to be awesome. I cannot wait. I've been wanting to dig deep into I may not answer one of your questions because I'm going to be having him answer all of my questions. But no, we'll have a pretty interactive day with Don on Thursday. I might have another guest tomorrow, but most likely it'll just be me. So thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic remainder of your day. I will see you tomorrow. Take care.